Did you know werewolves may have been mentioned in the Bible? Among other known creatures, this one is different. While the Bible doesn't directly mention werewolves, it employs the imagery of wolves to symbolize various forms of spiritual and moral challenges, urging the faithful to remain vigilant against such threats. The biblical meaning of wolves often aligns with deceit and danger. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. Daniel 4:33 KJV. The werewolf is a widespread concept in European folklore, existing in many variants, which are related by a common development of a Christian interpretation of underlying European folklore developed during the medieval period. From the early modern period, werewolf beliefs also spread to the New World with colonialism. Belief in werewolves developed in parallel to the belief in witches in the course of the late Middle Ages and the early modern period. Like the witchcraft trials as a whole, the trial of supposed werewolves emerged in what is now Switzerland, especially the Valais and Vaud in the early 15th century, and spread throughout Europe in the 16th, peaking in the 17th and subsiding by the 18th century. The persecution of werewolves and the associated folklore is an integral part of the witch hunt phenomenon, albeit a marginal one, accusations of lycanthropy being involved in only a small fraction of witchcraft trials. During the early period, accusations of lycanthropy transformation into a wolf were mixed with accusations of wolf riding or wolf charming. The case of Peter Stump 1589 led to a significant peak in both interest in and persecution of supposed werewolves, primarily in French-speaking and German-speaking Europe. The phenomenon persisted longest in Bavaria and Austria, with persecution of wolf charmers recorded until well after 1650, the final cases taking place in the early 18th century in Carinthia and Styria. After the end of the witch trials, the werewolf became of interest in folklore studies and in the emerging Gothic horror genre. Werewolf fiction as a genre has pre-modern precedents in medieval romances, for example Basclavret and Guillaume de Palerme, and developed in the 18th century out of the semi-fiction. The trappings of horror literature in the 20th century became part of the horror and fantasy genre of modern popular culture.